What is up, you damn gorgeous, beautiful gamers? Welcome back to role-playing games. This is Mariel Corner in the internet, where we like to discuss about RPGs. If you like the content, if you like to have these conversations with Mariel James, I would very much like to invite you, like always, to hit that like button, because it really helps me, like you have no idea. And also, most of the people that watches my content are in fact not subscribed to my channel, so what are you waiting for? That being said, today we're going to be discussing about meta builds. Oh boy, is this going to be amazing. First and foremost, let me tell you what are the skills that we have right now. Look at that beautifulness that it's all it's just Draken said back. It's not the Draken said, but it's like you get the idea. We have attack boost level 7, critical eye level 7, critical boost level 3, master's touch level 3. Those are the main skills that we are going to be using, but this is a meta build. I am providing a base for you to build upon. This thing is actually going to be much more amazing. We're going to be discussing about weapons that you can use. We're going to be discussing about playstyle. We're going to be discussing about the utility items that you can use. But that being said, let's head over to the gear first. The gear we have Darkest Night. We have 40% extra affinity on that weapon. We also have a nice beautiful purple sharpness bar. I do not have it at max level yet, but I mean, this is something that I will be using as well. Do remember that we're actually going to be making some tweaks. If you don't actually want to use this weapon, there are far better weapons that you can use to make this build viable, but we'll talk about that later. Things that we're going to be using are mainly the Kaiser crown, which is going to give you critical eye 3, critical boost and fire resistance. That's not actually true, that's from my decos. Critical eye 2 on the male, and master's touch level 2. That's amazing. Bam braces, we have Teostra's blessing. We're not actually going to be using that much. We have critical eye as well, and that beautiful critical boost. The attack boost, that's from a deco, not worried that much about it. But on the Anjanath coil, we have attack boost. We also have Kaiser grips, we have critical boost and master's touch. Those are the ones that interest us the most with this build. And on the talisman, just use whatever talisman that you like to use, but do have in mind that it needs to have, for this build to work properly, it needs to have 2 level 2 decoration slots. It doesn't matter, you're not actually going to be using that much the other one, but you desperately need those level 2 decoration slots. The skills that you have on it, they are not important. Focus yourself on getting those 2 decoration slots. That being said, so let us discuss a bit about the build in itself. Since you have such high affinity, you have master's touch, which essentially what it's going to do is that it's going to grant you with an 80% chance of no sharpness loss while active, meaning that every time you land a critical hit, you're not actually going to be losing sharpness. We're actually using attack boost at max level, but we can actually change this a little bit. I'll tell you more about it later. We have 40% extra affinity, which means that we have roughly 80% affinity, which means that we're not actually going to be losing any kind of sharpness ever in our fights. Well, maybe you will, but by the time that happens, the monster is already going to be gone to the other area, which is going to give you time to sharpen again. And during the fight, which is what it is the most interesting part about it all, you're not going to have to be sharpening your weapon during the fight. So critical boost, which increases our damage dealt by critical hits to 40%, which, since we are hitting critical hits the 80% of the time, it does not matter if you hit on hard parts of the monster, weak spots, it's always going to be a critical hit, which is amazing. Now we have ballistics, Teostra's blessing, and all of these others. Well, these 4 are the ones that we want to be maxing out. Everything else, it's just side effect. So let us discuss now what can you do to change this build to your hot content and be efficient. So let's say, for example, that you want to use an elemental weapon. Since we have right here, we have 3 level 1 decoration slots right there. That's 5. That's 7 right there. 8, and finally 9. We have 9 commodity slots. What kind of commodity slots can you place in this? I advise stun resistance. I advise elemental resistance to the specific boss fight that you are fighting against. Or if you are using an elemental weapon, I would advise for you to max that elemental weapon, the damage of that elemental weapon, which is, since we have so many level 1 jewels, so many level 1 commodity slots, that's something doable. What I advise, first and foremost, elemental resistance against the boss fight that you are fighting, and stun. But I almost never get stun, so I do not use stun resistance that much, but there are those times where you can mess up a fight for some people. But that being said, there are better weapons than the one that I am using right now. Mainly, I forgot, spoiler alert again, it's going to be a huge spoiler right here. This is one of the strongest weapons right now. So as you can see, we have 314 raw damage. We have negative affinity right here. That is something true. But we also have purple sharpness. So if we want to use the abyssal flicker, or for example, if you want to use the basil jar blazer, you also have negative affinity right here, which I would say that this is on par at some extent. Not on par, well, it's fairly even because of how we going to be building this thing. But we do have negative affinity right here, and we want to use either this or the other one. So let's say, for example, I do not have this one right now, but let's focus on this one right now. We have negative affinity. What we can do right now is, on my equip skills, I can take away 3 attack boosts from here and instead change those for, you got it, tenderizer jewel, tenderizer decoration, which is going to give me another extra 50% damage. Well, critical hit chance, which is going to compensate that negative affinity that it has, still maintaining my master's touch. And as you can see right here, the sharpness bar that this thing has is amazing. The damage that it has is amazing. And if I am going to be using the abyssal flicker, then I'm actually going to be having dragon element as well. And what do you know? We have commodity slots. We have 9 commodity slots to be placing upon this thing, on top of this thing, to max it out even more. Like, this build is crazy. The versatility that you can have with this build, the damage, the critical potential, the commodity of not having to sharpen your weapon during a fight. I'm just so happy with this build. I have been running with this thing for quite a while, and trust me, like, it doesn't matter what kind of weapon that you want to use. If you actually swap your skills like the way I told you, your build is going to be always amazing. I'm actually going to be posting continuously as much as I can some of the variations that I am going to be making with this build, so you can check it out better. But as of right now, that is the build, and I believe this is meta. Like, this is really goddamn damaging. I love Sunbreak for providing us with this goddamn beautiful build. That being said, if you did find the video informative, if you like the information, then smash that like button, and remember that if no one has told you today that you are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful gamer, you are a gorgeous and beautiful person. Have a beautiful day. Now we'll see you goddamn gorgeous and beautiful people in the next one. Goodbye.
Thank